Hey, I'm Jeff. I'm a forward deployed engineer here at Mezmo. Some of the videos that we released in the last week have covered using Aura as a standalone binary on our local laptop and connecting to some MCPs and investigating issues kind of in a co-pilot mode. But in some cases, you might want to run Aura as a long-lived instance, maybe in scenarios where you'd benefit from long-term memory or centralized configuration, or triggering Aura remotely to do some sort of like automated investigation in response to an incident. So I'm going to install Aura on a Kubernetes cluster. I've got access to it right now. Um, it's kind of there to simulate like a production Kubernetes cluster. And we're going to be doing some Helm installs, which I know bad practice, but we're just doing that so you can kind of see the steps one would take to get some of these services going. And the first one that we're going to install is the AURA Helm chart, so we can get the service up. And I'm going to be using an example from the GitHub repo. It's under examples, quickstart Kubernetes SRE, AURA values. And this is basically built to work with like the OTel demo. We're not using that in our demo environment, but it's something that you can spin up following our quick start guide. And it comes out of the box with the Kubernetes MCP server configured and Prometheus MCP server and some workers. Now, I've got a trimmed down version of the values YAML for Aura for the demo, basically. And in this case, I've got just the Kubernetes MCP server configured, and then just the one worker for inspecting the cluster. And that's basically just so we can show you later what it looks like to add an MCP server and another worker so we can, investigate issues in more detail. So one thing to note that as of the recording of this video, we do not have the Helm chart hosted. So to use it, you just have to clone the Aura repo, and then from here, just run Helm install and refer directly to the Helm chart on that repo you just cloned. We're going to create a namespace for Aura, and then we're going to pass it that value as the YAML we just looked at. Now, in this case, I'm passing the OpenAI API key as a secret, and it's just in my environment, something I did before the video. Cool. So now that's deployed, and you can see, a little bit more information, from the Helm chart, some instructions on, testing it, making sure everything's good. But we still have to install the Kubernetes MCP server, so I'm going to do that next. And that's going to come from the Kubernetes MCP server repo in the containers org on GitHub here. And this is just the folks who, created Podman. And this chart's pretty flexible. There's a lot, that you can configure. And I'm just going to show you my slimmed down version of it here. And really, the thing to take away is I'm running this MCP server in read-only mode, and that's covered by both the RBAC as well as read-only being passed to the MCP server at startup. Other than that, I've got ingress turned off because we're running Aura on the same cluster, so we don't need to deal with exposing this any deeper than the cluster. Cool. And I'm just going to run Helm install. And in this case, they host it, so you don't need to clone the repo. Give it its own namespace, and then point to that values.yaml. Get that done. Cool. And that's deployed now. Some other things that we can do here are, check the rollout status. So we'll check the MCP server's good, and we'll check Aura as well. Cool. So those are happy. So in this case, Aura's running, and if you had exposed Aura, you can basically connect to it, from anywhere by running the Aura CLI. In my case, it's just easier to run kubeexec on the pod and just tell it to basically connect to itself. So that's going to be probably your easiest way to like get started, talking to Aura. And a good smoke test we can run, make sure the LLM provider and the MCP are set up, is basically ask for, status update. So this is, exercising the LLM and invoking tools through the Kubernetes MCP. And looks like everything looks good here. So my next steps would be to, pack this up into, our, GitOps, Helm, repo. So basically, my next steps are to get this, packed up, put into GitOps, Argo, all that, so it's running for future demos. But the next video in the series is basically going to cover installing a MCP server for our Prometheus, for our Grafana, and then I've got a couple of synthetic issues I can throw at our demo environment, and we'll actually get to see Aura troubleshooting and diagnosing and getting me a root cause. So stay tuned for those, and thank you.